Somebody looked at every single battle in recorded history, who was the general, how many troops they had, and they found the actual top 10 generals. Let me see if I can find it. I thought it was so interesting. The generals that had few battles did not do that well, but basically the best generals in history were those that won with underdog forces. Alexander the Great is number 10. Alexander the Great only had a couple battles, I think, in his life. Georgy Zhukov, I don't know who this is. A Soviet general. Oh, he worked for Stalin. Well, there you go. He won the Battle of Berlin. Holy shit. He's known as the man who really defeated Hitler. Interesting. Number 8, Frederick the Great, ruling for more than 40 years and commanding troops in some 14 battles across Europe. He got the number 8 spot on the list. Ulysses S. Grant. Yeah, obviously. He even president, too. Whew. Top general into president. That's a run. Hannibal Barca. Oh, yeah. Hannibal's the GOAT, dude. Hannibal's the guy that marched elephants across the Alps to fuck up the Romans, right? Is Trump on here? He knows more than the generals, believe him. So he's probably rank 0. He's probably the top. There's a story I remember of, dude, I'm getting the names wrong, but I think there's a general named Scipio Africanus or something, and him and Hannibal like met up way after their careers and like talked shit about each other. It's in his blurb. Oh, damn, you're right. Oh, this is literally what I'm talking about. Basically, when you actually read what they said to each other, it was like two Melee players who retired talking about their career. It's like Mango and Armada or something, talking about how, yeah, I would have fucked you up at that tournament. I would have beat your... It was like, the way they were talking was so funny. It was like the very prehistoric, like 1,000 years ago version of two Melee players. DJ Khalid, Ibn al-Walid. You never heard of him, but you sure felt his effects. In 14 battles, he remained undefeated against the Byzantine Empire. Compared to others who fought similar battles, his score eclipses even Frederick the Great. Okay, nearly undefeated. Takeda Shingen, one of the best military minds in feudal Japan, is a really big deal. After 18 battles, he remained supreme. Actually goated. Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington. Holy shit, he looks so not like a great general. Oh, he's the guy that beat Napoleon? I guess taking down the GOAT is something. Julius Caesar? Yeah, he did pretty well for himself. And then Napoleon, number 1, the GOAT, dude. Napoleon is so far ahead of the normal distribution curve created by the data. For these 6,000 plus generals, it's not even close. After 43 battles, he has a war score of more than 16, which blows the competition away. There can be no question Napoleon is the greatest tactical general of all time, and the math proves it. GOAT status, dude. He was only 5'5". I mean, I think the coolest thing Napoleon ever did was they beat his ass, finally, and instead of killing him because it would cause a big stink, they exiled him to an island, and then he legitimately escapes the island, steals a boat, sails back to France. The new puppet king sends the army to go arrest him. He gives a passionate speech to that army, and they all flip sides. And then he takes over France again, starts another war, gets all of Europe to team up again. Like, that's crazy. That's like unheard of in history. This is actually a good intro. This is a good intro segue to the next video, which is about his greatest battle of his career, Napoleon's masterpiece.
In December 1804, in the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of the French, a son of impoverished Corsican nobility to military dictator of France in little more than 10 years. Revolution.
Watch out for Ludwig. Completely unrelated, but at his pace of growth, let's watch out. All I'm saying is let's not, if he starts asking for military access, let's watch out. Okay? Kind of weird, short, French. Let's keep him doing the content thing.
8 months after Napoleon's coronation, the French Empire and its Spanish ally were at war with Britain, and Napoleon had assembled an army of 180,000 men along the Channel coast. But as long as the British Royal Navy ruled the seas, invasion was impossible.
I just want you guys to know, if there was even the smallest land bridge between France and Great Britain, all of history would be changed so dramatically. If you look through history, there's like 600 times that Great Britain is about to get fucked up by the mainland of Europe and doesn't because of having more boats right here. It's like, it happens all the time. It happens over and over and over and over again, and they just barely hold out. And it's like, man, if there was even the smallest way to walk, it would have been fucking over.
Britain would prove Napoleon's most steadfast enemy, and its press delighted in relentless mockery of the French emperor.
What is that? Why we think he's so short? Is that just because Britain won? and they fucking roasted him and toasted him. It is funny though, right? It is kind of funny though. So maybe we should keep it going. We'll let the next generations figure out whether it was true or not. Let's just keep calling him short. It was funny.
The final straw came in May 1804, when Napoleon had also crowned himself King of Italy in Milan.
Man. Went for the double?
Austria, Russia, Sweden and Naples joined Britain in an alliance known as the Third Coalition. The main attack would be made by a combined Austro-Russian army advancing across the Rhine into France. But Napoleon got word of their plans and reacted with typical speed and decision. He was determined to strike first, before the Allies could join forces, and ordered his army, now renamed La Grande Armée, to march to the River Rhine.
Feels like so much of what makes a great general back in the day. I feel this about Washington too, is like their ability to make people move. To like feed and supply troops while they move. That it was like logistics. It's like it's not like battle tactics because they can't even communicate that well. It was more like, let's get people to the right spot and not starving. And then they win. An army marches on its stomach? No, an army marches on its feet. Idiots. I'm glad you're here because it's Get Smarter Saturdays. You guys can learn a thing or two. Stupid. They're not doing the worm across the fucking Rhine, dude. They're fucking walking. Or marching, as we'd say in the military.
Napoleon ordered Marshal Murat, his famously flamboyant cavalry commander, to make feint attacks through the Black Forest.
Famously flamboyant? Is he ossified? Sheesh, Queen!
That summer, Napoleon's Grande Armée was at its most formidable.
Does La Grande Armée just mean the big army? Am I translating that correctly? Is that his fucking fancy name for his army? It just means the big army. Okay, cool. I guess it'd be good to be in, like, if you're in the Grand Army, then you're like, we're in the big one. That's good. You don't want to be in the small army. That'd be fucking shitty.
What's more, it had been newly reorganized according to the Corps system, later imitated by virtually every army in the world.
He invented the Corps system?
Each corps, commanded by a marshal, was a mini-army of 15 to 30,000 soldiers. This meant each corps could march and fight for a limited time independently, allowing Napoleon to break with the old doctrine of keeping his army concentrated and advance with his corps widely dispersed. This helped to disguise his real objective and increased movement speed. Mack didn't realize the danger he was in until it was too late.
His name's just Mack?
Napoleon's fast-moving corps crossed the Danube behind him and surrounded his army. Despite some desperate fighting, the Austrians couldn't break out of the trap.
Yeah, one other thing I've noticed is I like look at more historical battles and stuff because I've been interested in this. It's like getting surrounded is GG. I've seen so many examples of like, yeah, if they ever get behind you, your army just is completely fucked. It just loses insta. Even if you have more numbers, like if their army is surrounded, they just break. Surrounding again, this meta is cringe. Dude, I love the idea of like European generals as fucking RTS players in the chat. Like in World War One. Oh, trench warfare is so fucking boring. Devs, patch! Patch this shit! All I want to do is attack with my horsies!
On the 19th of October, just 6 weeks into the war, Mack surrendered his army to Napoleon.
Get owned.
And Napoleon had struck his first devastating blow against the coalition. Russian General Mikhail Kutuzov was an experienced and wary commander, but hearing of the Austrians' surrender at Ulm, and knowing he wasn't strong enough to face Napoleon alone, he immediately ordered a retreat. Napoleon pursued. Kutuzov slipped away to Olmütz in today's Czech Republic, where he was joined by reinforcements, as well as Emperor Alexander of Russia and Emperor Francis of Austria.
All right, the squad's
Napoleon
finally there.
Was furious that Kutuzov had escaped. By now, his army was also exhausted, and far from home, with winter approaching. He needed to force a decisive battle quickly. With the Allied army closing in, Napoleon ordered his corps to rapidly concentrate on a battlefield he had carefully selected near the town of Austerlitz.
Oh, here it comes. This is a 1v3 clutch, dude. This is simple, down, bombs already been planted, 3 members of the opposing team left. This is Austerlitz, baby.
Into the night. Then
Clutch or
grabbed
kick?
of dawn would mark the first anniversary of his coronation as emperor, and promised a battle that would make or break his young empire.
Do you think he made the sound effect when he said that? Do you think he went, because that's what I would do. If I said, let's finish this war with a thunderclap, ka-chow! Or he had a guy, behind him. Yeah, he's an emperor. He had a guy behind him go, and back him up. That was sick.
2 armies of near equal size faced each other across a 7-mile wide battlefield, but the Allies held the high ground of the Pratzen Heights.
They have the high ground? How do the French
Seeing
win?
Napoleon's thinly stretched right flank, the Allies planned a large-scale attack from the Pratzen Heights to steamroller the French right before swinging round to envelop Napoleon's army.
Sounds decent. I don't know why they give up the high
Little
ground,
did
but
they know, Napoleon was counting on his weak right wing luring the Allies into just such a move,
oh, problem.
whereupon he would launch his own attack on the Pratzen Heights to cut
Pepe
the
laugh.
Allied army in half. The battle began around 7 a.m. as Austrian troops of General Kienmayer's advance guard clashed with French troops defending the village of Telnitz. In the face of overwhelming odds, the French fought stubbornly and bravely.
Would suck to be in this part of the French army, though. You're just bait. You're like a small army against the fucking massive legion who's baiting you out. You're almost certainly dead. I would not volunteer for that job. Great plan, Napoleon. Great plan. Do you think maybe I could be on the victorious guys charging up the hill and winning, and not the guys that get the fucking shit kicked out of them? No, well, it's already decided, Brandon. So, and that's why I deserted, by the way. That's why I deserted the French army back in the day.
They were forced back, but the Allies, instead of carrying out their great enveloping attack, did nothing.
What?
The morning mist and the late arrival of orders had led to confusion and delay, which
Fog
had just
RNG.
force-marched 70 miles in 2 days, now arrived to strengthen the French right wing. His lead infantry brigade appeared suddenly through the mist and retook Telnitz, before being driven back in turn by Austrian hussars.
Hussars are mounted cavalry, by the way. People are still using fucking mounted cavalry. Crazy. Shocks me. Cannons and guns, and people are still fucking running on horses. Well, they weren't going to use cars. I meant charging with melee cavalry with fucking swords, dude. I mean, it works. Still gets the job done because they move fast. But like, this is probably the last war where cavalry was still remotely effective, because this is not too far from World War I, right? 100 years, not too far. A century, come on. Listen, when I was back then, I skated everywhere, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Horses were used in World War I, but they were incredibly ineffective, like famously ineffective. There's the poem about that cavalry charge in World War I where they all just fucking die. No repeating guns.
To
So
the
there was no.
alarm
Oh,
of
okay, it's
Allied
still
commanders,
muskets for
2
sure.
French infantry divisions.
I guess that makes sense. It's probably repeating guns that really fucking ends horses. Machine guns, basically. Because if you have a musket, yeah, it's fucking shitty to be charging towards it, but it takes forever to reload. So you're just sitting there fucking on your ass trying to put powder in that bitch, and the horse is trampling you down. So once you get repeating guns, then horses are kind of they're just not going to do it for you. That's when Bethesda first invented horse armor. And Napoleon bought all of the DLC, thus kicking off microtransactions, which are big today. So we're getting a little gaming history in here too. It's not just war history, it's gaming history. So it all ties together.
By 11 a.m., the French, with the advantage in training and discipline, had secured the heights. Napoleon had broken the Allied center.
I mean, it's kind of goated that the French held here, though. If they didn't hold this line with a weaker force, this whole thing would have gone to shit, and they'd be like chasing each other's tails. Like, them holding this, even just fucking a little bit, made all this possible.
Many of his troops were forced to flee across frozen ponds. French artillery opened fire, trying to smash the ice with their cannonballs.
Oh, shit.
About 200 men and dozens of horses drowned in the freezing water.
Oh, shit, dude.
Thousands of dead and wounded of all sides littered the battlefield.
Wow.
Many left.
That's an insane KDR for a general. In an even match, they had the same army size going in.
The Battle of the Three Emperors, as it became known, was a crushing blow to the Third Coalition. When William Pitt received news of Napoleon's victory at Austerlitz, he's supposed to have said, "Roll up that map of Europe. It will not be wanted these 10 years.
Oh, shit.
A month later, Pitt was dead, but his warning that Europe faced another 10 years of war and upheaval was to prove prophetic.
So Napoleon wins this battle, my understanding is. He basically fucks over everybody, takes over the majority of Europe, is at the peak of his powers, and then he goes, fucking, let's go Russia. He basically does the early Hitler. He does the same thing Hitler does. And then he just loses his whole army, freezing to death in Russia, and then everything collapses.